Hello everyone. Today we have strength and conditioning coach who has served for nearly 2 decades now. He's experienced working with high-profile tennis players, and he's on a mission to fulfill tennis players' Grand Slam dreams. Based in Florida, United States, please welcome motivating coach and physiotherapist, Mr. Francis Bougey. So, Francis, how are
Thank you,
you?
Maha, for this nice introduction. I'm now in the field for the last 15, 20 years. I started early. I tried to definitely step into coaching early, but I think you have some questions that we can go through in the next few minutes. So, yeah, I'm impatient to start.
Okay, thank you so much, and it's a lovely having you over here. So let's begin with your name, Francis Bougie. So do you know it's a champagne in France called Francis Bougie?
I know. And I born in Reims, close to Champagne area.
Okay.
And I discover a few years ago now that there's a producer who named the same as myself.
Okay.
And I never met him, but I'll try to meet him in the future when I go back to France.
Okay.
And I'm actually also like trying to having the possibility for other people that I know to have access to champagne.
Okay.
More I travel and more I realize that champagne is something that in our region where I grew up, it's something general. Yes. People have them or drink it for a random occasion, I would say, when around the world it's more for like celebrating an event or a New Year event or a nice wedding party or something like that. Yeah. So I'm trying to give the opportunity to people I know now to discover young producer and good producer, probably better champagne than the whole brand that people know. But yeah, it's something I have in common with the region I born.
Yeah, good to know that. And also, where are you based right now?
So now, mainly in Florida. I moved there before COVID. It was 2020. Before COVID in February, started to work with Victoria. And now it's kind of her training base. So it's where we spend the most time, but a lot of travel with the tournaments around the globe. She plays around between 18 and 22, 23 tournaments, knowing that Grand Slam are 2 weeks event. Plus, we need to get there a bit in advance to get used to the time difference, the weather condition. So it's easily 25 weeks, I would say, of travel. Plus the training blocks, it takes many weeks out of home.
All right. And aren't you accompanying her for the Qatar tournament this week?
No, I did the preseason block training. We went here in Florida we started really early this year, but it's important for her to keep the consistency and to have like a daily maintenance and daily routine with the physical training at least. Okay. It's not a surprise, but as older you get, as harder it is to I would say stay in shape and to get back to it. If you have a break of 2-3 weeks, it's really hard. Older you get to restart. So we started pretty early. We did the preseason, then went to Australia. And I would say that during those 1 week event, the physical coach is not necessary. It's a plus, definitely, to do the fitness, the recovery, the drinks, and even the dynamic is important to still have. But during those 1 week event, when you play back to back every day, it's not really as a fitness coach that you can make the difference. Like the work is made in advance, like in the training blocks or like preseason, or even when we're going to change surface. It's really important there to set up like a time to improve and to strengthen the body. Okay. During tournaments, it's another job, I would say, definitely. It's more like guiding people to, okay, what's best at the moment with the time you play on the next day and all that stuff. But she's now experienced. She has still the team around her, the tennis coach, the physio is with her. So she's organized. She's organized.
So there's a huge difference in playing a 14-day event, which is a Grand Slam tournament, and a 1 week event, which is a regular WTA Tour level event.
Yeah, it's definitely a huge difference. The main one is basically on a Grand Slam, the 2 weeks event, you will have a day rest between two matches. Yep. So you can do prevention session, you can do rehab, you can do even like explosiveness session in between those matches. When the 1 week event, depends when you start. Often the first round is on 2 days. So you might have day rest if you play the first day. If you play the second day, you just go through the week playing one match every day. Okay. And at that point, the recovery is more important, I would say, than the practice. So it's important to be fit and to get ready in advance. Once you're in the tournament, it's not there that you're gonna try to do a session or improve something.
Okay. And how did your journey with tennis begin? Like, why did you choose tennis over other hundreds of sports which are there?
I was playing table tennis being young when I was in France. Okay. And I went to university after in my city. It was in Reims. I did the 3 first years there. And then I went to Dijon to do the master of strength and conditioning coach. And being in Dijon, they had this regional sports center close by the university. And I made my internship there. So that's first I connect with tennis. And then, I went back and forth with table tennis, other sports as well, hockey, ice hockey. Okay. I did a bit of handball. But at some point, it went to a summer where I had the opportunity to go to a tennis in school program where they had a camp during the summer. And I went there at the beginning, it was for 4 weeks. And it connected well with the owner of the center. And they had a job for me after the summer. So that's really my first step and my first foot into the tennis world as a fitness coach.
Okay, interesting to know. So you didn't really follow tennis while you were growing up, when you were a kid?
I was watching Roland Garros when it was on TV. I was like following up results. I never really played being young. I played with my friends during the summer, like as recreational sport, I would say. Okay. But I never really practiced the sport. I always thought that it was a really global sport for strength and conditioning. You need speed, you need stamina, you need strength, you need like change of direction, you need the information taking is really important to develop. It's a really interesting sport on this way that it requires a lot of skills. But I really jumped in later than my childhood, definitely.
You just talked about the importance of physiotherapy in tennis. So like you told, it's a very diverse sport at a global level. And what else is important, like how physiotherapy is playing a role in tennis in improving tennis players' efficiency, their precision, their activity on the court?
Well, I really believe that when you look at videos from the last 50, 60 years, back in 70s, 80s, I don't want to be negative with the level. They were the top of their sport. Yes. They just compete with what they had the opportunity to develop with the technology of the rackets, the balls, even like the training. It was not the same. So they were still the top of their field. But when you compare to now, it's definitely the impact of the fitness level is definitely another dimension. Yeah. They hit the ball harder, they move faster. You can see like the ball with the serve, it's traveling now. Girls like can hit 200-kilometer serve. Yeah. It's back in 40 years ago, there's no chance you could have seen that. And thanks to the development of practice, new technology, definitely the training of those girls, same with the guys. They are now real full athletes. They're probably one of the best athletes in the world when you see what they ask for. Like the movement, they play for 4 or 5 hours, they play 2 days after. There's not so many sports when you can go back to back with having so many matches, like team sports, maybe except of hockey or baseball here in US, but otherwise you play 1 game, 2 games a week. But tennis, you can have like 5 games a week, and then those even 7 games in 2 weeks for Grand Slam, and then you play 4 or 5 hours. So it's definitely a dimension that's developed in the past few years, and it's really, really important. There is no players, women or men's side on tour that they're not fit and prepared.
Absolutely, like tennis has evolved over the years. Players are fitter than ever. They're fast. Their serves, everything has taken that game to a different level. And also, like it's a really physically demanding sport. But as a physiotherapist, like if you see, the shelf life of tennis players is going down every passing year. So, what are the challenges that you see in your role?
What do you mean by the shelf life of tennis is going down?
Like the retirement of the tennis players, their age is, you know, it's coming out to be like they're retiring early these days.
It's pretty hard to say that when you see Djokovic that's still performing at the top level, when you see Victoria is still up there. I would say that it takes even longer time now to be on top. Like before, you used to see girls, they were like 17, 18, coming on top. Boys a bit later always, but like 20, 21. Now it takes a bit longer to develop those physical aspects we talked about. But also the tactic, the technique, it's way more demanding game, way more demanding sport that I think it used to be. And it takes longer. Knowing about retirement, I see a lot of people, they can perform when they're 25, 26 and still have a career and retired a bit later. I would not say that the retirement is now earlier. Knowing that especially the training and the physiotherapy, the conditioning, the recovery is way more developed, they can perform a bit longer on my side, I would say.
Okay, but like you just took the names who are exceptionally well, who are exceptional tennis players, but there are some players like if you see Anna Kontaveit, she could have had a very beautiful career, a long career, and she was number 2 player in the world, but unfortunately due to her physical conditions she had to step down.
Yeah, I get this point that with a bad injury you have to retire it, but I don't know. I don't have the stat and I don't have the numbers, but for example, when I even see like Zverev who like twisted his ankle really badly, he was able to come back thanks to physiotherapy, strength and conditioning. It took a while, but he still recovered from an amazing injury, and thanks to the technology and the knowledge that people developed.
Yes.
To me, it's probably easier to have, I would say, a sustained and a longer career, thanks to now the people and everything as well with the players. They can build a team around them. Good players now make decent money, I would say, and they can like surround themselves with people to help them going through their career and travel this 10, 12 years like the safer they could.
Speaking about your career, you began your physiotherapy career at the Mouratoglou's Academy in France. It is regarded as one of the finest tennis academies to train, like top professional athletes from Serena Williams to Simona Halep, Alize Cornet, they have been training there. Apart from all the experiences you gained there, what was the biggest learning from that academy which you received?
I moved there. I moved there 10 years ago in the south of France. It was before owned by Charles Offray. The name was ISP Academy. And then in 2016, Patrick bought the place and did an amazing renovation and like upgraded every part of it. The thing I learned the most over there, I think it's because at the end, if I remember well, we had 10 fitness coach, 10 strength and conditioning coach in the same organization. So working from baby tennis, they call this. So like 4 or 5 years to pro players. So the knowledge you have between those 10 coaches, the communication, I'm not saying that professional athlete coach will pick an exercise from a 4 years old coach. But the inspiration, then you can have okay, he's doing this, why he's doing this, why I can adapt to my players. Mm-hmm. The pleasure to be around like other people of the field. There's not so much structure to me that hires 10 fitness coach in a world. Like the dynamic we had was really appreciated on my side. Mm-hmm. And I think you learn a lot by being in contact with other people and just being curious about what they do and the way they think and what they believe it could work. And then you have your own point of view. Mm-hmm. But it's really important for me to, this sharing part in the team we had was definitely a positive asset.
So going back to your days at the academy, you worked with two amazing WTA athletes, namely Alize Cornet and Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova. And both of them, the ladies, are having a healthy run on the tour right now. If you look at Cornet, this could be her final year on the tour. She has crossed 30. She's on the other side of the 30, the number 30. How was your relationship with her, and what were the challenges that you faced while working with her?
With Alize, she's a real athlete. Like she likes to play, she likes to compete. It could be tennis, paddle, soccer, any sports, and if hiking in the mountain. Mm-hmm. I remember we had not trouble. It's not that the negative, but for example, when I gave her a rest day, mm-hmm. she was coming back after, I went to the mountain and hiking for 2 hours. My legs are dead. She's really like, she's a sports woman. Like she likes doing sports. She's like moving. She can't really stay on a couch and just recover. To me, she really developed a career. She started pretty young. Mm-hmm. She was really young on top, and then she had an amazing career. I think she has the record of the Grand Slam appearance in a row or something like that. Mm-hmm. So the consistency for her was really, really good. Mm-hmm. And now she's, I think, climbing a bit down, I would say, in the ranking. So it will be hard for her to be part of the main tournament and try to come back on the first scene. But I think she can do it. Mm-hmm. I know that Olympic Games was one of her main goals, being in Paris. She's a lot with the connecting to her country. And I wish she can make this one.
And speaking about another player, she went on to become a Grand Slam finalist, and also she's an Olympian. And she's considered to be one of the late bloomers on the WTA tour, Anastasia. So do you think she has a chance for another Grand Slam final? Like presently, if you see, she has been dealing with a lot of injuries, but she's not giving up. She's holding on to it, and she is striving hard to come back to her former level.
Yeah, she had a big break with her knee. We still see each other in tournament. I think now she's in a good place. The knee looks healthy from what I know, mm-hmm. and she plays pretty good. Like the start of the year was really solid on her side. She will be back, if I don't mistake, in the top 30 or something like this next week. I don't know the live ranking exactly, but she definitely can beat mm-hmm. any players. Mm-hmm. She has a striking and she plays the baseline stroke like really well, and it's the part of the women tennis WTA is really open, I think, to make a great result. Could be winning a tournament or making a final of a slam. It's probably 25 or 30 girls start the Grand Slam and having those goals. Mm-hmm. So yeah, she definitely will be part of it. Mm-hmm. Will she make it? I don't know, but she has a chance for sure.
All right. And also, presently, you're associated with a 2-time Grand Slam champion, and she is really revered on the WTA tour, and the tennis world loves her. How is Vika to work with, and is she feisty or is she fun while training?
Definitely. I believe fitness could be sometimes boring, mm-hmm. especially when you go in a gym and you kind mm-hmm. of do the same exercises mm-hmm. every day. The prevention is really boring. I think girls match better with prevention than boys. Boys, it's a bit harder to to organize, but girls that they like to take care of their body and to have a routine. And then I think she understood that it's really important for her. Yeah, she's fun. She's fun to practice with. Really challenging to coach, I would say. She needs to understand why she's doing an exercise, what's the purpose of it, what is going to bring her. That's, I believe, something that it's interesting because she's trying to understand what she's doing and not acting like a robot and just like not thinking and not trying to deeply understand the process. Okay. So I think that's really positive. And after, it's a relation that when you live with someone like daily and you always have, those like practice, you have days that she could be tired, that I could be tired, the coach could be tired. It's a dynamic that we try to, keep on a positive level and try to be nice. There's some up and downs like everywhere, but on a daily basis, yeah, it's fun to work with her, and it's really interesting because once she sticks to the process, she learns really fast, and she's always trying to achieve and perform the exercise as the best.
Like in the year February 2020, that was the time when you started working with Vika. And needless to say, that was the resurgence year for Victoria Azarenka. She won the tournament in Cincinnati, and then moving forward, she was in the finals of the US Open, and she played a spectacular semi-final match against Serena Williams. It was the Battle of the Mothers, and people were crazy on social media. And do you think she can once again pull the rabbit out of the hat and, clinch that US Open trophy someday?
Definitely. She's one of the, like Nastya, she's one of the 25, 30 that, like the dynamic is good. If the feeling of the ball, all the energy is good, everything can click and it can happen. We had like the experience in the girls, like with Vondrousova in Wimbledon, even like Raducanu in US Open. So there's definitely few girls that they're on the front line to win those events. But behind them, there's a lot of girls, like 20, 25, 30 girls that they can definitely have the goal and they have the skills to make it. So yeah, I remember like this time 2020 and the COVID hit, and she had a long preparation. And then after it was going well. She played amazing, but she still have some good run. Last year, Australia semifinal. She still like Indian Wells final against Paula Badoza. The WTA is really, really open. So a good draw, a good week, and a good like dynamic, it can click definitely.
Yeah. Speaking about the Indian Wells final, Paula Badoza, she also mentioned in her victory speech, like because of tennis players like Vika, she's there on that level. So she's definitely an inspiration, and she has motivated so many kids around the world to pick up a tennis racket.
Definitely, there is first of all players from Belarus like Sabalenka and all that. They grew up looking up to Vika. There is a bench of players like when she was shining on the tour, like really on the top of it, really inspiring people by the way she plays, being aggressive. And that's not for, I think it's a reason now why you see young girls coming up and being fearless and being really aggressive in their game, because they got inspired by, could be Vika, it could be Serena Williams. Those girls, they were like fearless and hitting, pounding the ball everywhere. And that's now how the girls are coming, so it's a model for young players, but still for other players and probably many people around the world.
Besides her a physically taxing and a mentally challenging job, what Vika is doing right now, she's also a full-time mother. How does she juggle between the two?
Well, she is not definitely just oriented on the tennis-wise. She has the tennis. She loves to be around Leo. She likes animals as well. So she getting like in the horse passion. She's like enjoying time having with a restaurant. She's definitely a full person around the tennis players. So maybe under the spotlight, people see the tennis players, but around that, she's fulfilled by so many other things. Mm-hmm. And her relation with her son is really good. I think it's difficult for her to like be away from him, like with the tournament and the schedule, like she needs to travel, but it's probably something that they need to work around and try to adapt. But she needs to, and she really likes to be around him, and she's a great support. She offer him, I think, like we talk about a role model, it's kind of the same thing. I think she really wants for him to be the mom that, you know, Leo can look up to and be a role model.
She's definitely doing that.
She does.
Yeah. And also speaking about fitness levels of some star athletes of the sport. If you see Roger Federer, he has been lucky and he has stayed injury free through a major part of his career. And if you see Novak, he has taken fitness to some another level. But on the other hand, if you see Rafa Nadal, he has been suffering with a lot of injuries. Like for the French Open, when he won in the year 2022, it was on one foot. So everything, he was on injections and he was suffering with his foot. And also, even before that, many injuries were hindering Rafa Nadal. As a physio, like how do you evaluate the fitness of these three legendary players of tennis?
Well, I believe there is not so much due to luck. First, I'm not sure Federer was lucky to be injury free. Mm-hmm. I think it's due to hard work. It's due to prevention. Mm-hmm. It's due to investing time and probably energy and money on the recovery process. I don't believe there is things coming with luck anyways. To me, Roger was, as you watch him as a player, is really elegant. You know, all the footwork is really smooth. Is really, it feels like, you know, he never practiced. It's just talent. But like behind that, yes, but behind that, there is for sure a lot of hours of adjusting and just performing and trying to improve details. So I believe on his side, it was definitely something we're not seeing, but there's a lot of work behind that. For Rafa Nadal, I'm not really in touch. I don't really know everything, but I believe his foot was already a problem when he was young. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty hard to grow up. And if it's not fixed young, it's something he's going to deal, I believe, the rest of his life. He has also a game which is more demanding than Roger, I would say, because of the rally length, because he likes to play on clay, he likes to keep the match long, he likes to keep the rallies long. When he started first, when he was young, the serve was like definitely, he put the ball on the other side of the net, and then he was like rallying. Like, so it was his feel, it was his strength to make people getting tired. And at some point, he's probably, the bad side of it is probably that he was getting tired too, but probably less than the other during the match. But long term, it probably pays a bit now the game style he had. That's how I can see it. For Djokovic, I'm really impressed about what he does. The last 5-6 years, I believe Nadal is there because Federer just pushed him to be better. And I believe Djokovic is there because Federer and Nadal just set up the bar and then he said, I just want to go higher. And he's just succeeding doing that. But the way he does it, to me, I've never seen a player like that. He's never unbalanced. When he hit the shot, he's always under control. It looks easy again. It looks like talented. It looks like smooth. But the work behind that to be able to, the coordination, the information taking to see where you need to go, at where you need to go and how, and it's impressive. It's impressive.
Good to know that. And also the young player, Carlos Alcaraz, If you see that he's one of the spectacular players that tennis has ever had, that's what we are getting to hear from tennis experts. But if you see, simultaneously, injuries have taken a toll over his body. So, what kind of advice you would like to give him if you were his trainer? And do you really see him sustain his longevity like the big three did?
Well, I think he has already a team around him to get a ton of advice. He's doing really well. Yeah, I think he's a powerful player. Definitely a powerful player. He's probably one of the most aggressive when it comes to like men's side. I'm sure he does everything he can already with prevention, with like making the shoulders healthy, making all the exercise he can do to stay healthy. The problem is like at some point when you have a lot of training, when the volume of practice is heavy, and when you're young, that's what you need to have to be performant. It comes with definitely tendon fatigue, muscle fatigue. You're unbalanced because it's a sport that you play with only one side. So to balance the body, it's already a challenge. And definitely more you play tennis, more you expose yourself to injuries. And the game is like kind of finding the balance about how much you can do. Can you do more, but by staying healthy? That's the challenge that he needs to face. But it's the case of every players.
And what advice would you give to the current upcoming players in the tennis to stay injury free? Like you mentioned, tennis is changing day by day, it's getting evolved, the level is increasing, the strength, the speed, people are serving with more power. What is one piece of advice you would like to give to these advanced players if they want to stay injury free?
To me, it's really hard to give a global advice. It depends really about the profile, because, for example, you can say to someone who practice a lot, like many hours, to stay injury free, you need to recover, passive recover. You need to sleep. You need to eat well. You need to just relax. You need to take your time to just recover. And there's probably some other players that you want them, okay, you're practicing, but to stay injury free, you probably need to do a bit more. You need to do the prevention, you need to do the rehab, you need to do the shoulder strength, you need to do more stretching. So it's hard for me to give like a global advice to people not knowing the profile. Okay. But basically, I would say that for tennis players, for athletes, and for general people, you need to sleep well, eat well, and then rest. I mean, practice time is practice time. Rest time is rest time. You really need to embrace this phase. And yeah, that's probably the advice I would give.
Okay, thank you so much, Francis, for your time. It was a pleasure talking to you. So many insights I got, and also the different dimension of tennis I got to know. And thank you so much. Our team is really happy to host you today. And I wish you a good day ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for the talk with you.
Okay. See you.
Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.